All right, so we have a shocking update regarding the man who lit the woman on fire in Chicago. We are hearing back from the judge and her excuse on why she let him loose. Also, the president met with Trump Mamdani in the Oval Office. The media is perplexed by how the meeting went. You're going to want to see that. Also, Democrats are continuing to double down on their propaganda. We'll show you both sides to all these stories. But let's first hear what happened in Chicago, especially from this judge. Take a listen.
Prosecutors say he lit a woman on fire aboard a train. Meanwhile, there are growing questions about why he was back out on the streets despite a rap sheet reportedly going back to the early 90s. Mike Tobin is live in the Windy City with more. Hi, Mike.
And Dana, Lawrence Reed will be once again before the judge today, this time to determine if he will be held behind bars before he goes to trial. And that really is the backbone of this case. On Monday, he was out walking the streets despite a pending case for allegedly knocking a woman out, able to ride the L train where a woman was set on fire. Now, we have a statement from her family through Cook County Health. It's a pretty simple statement. They say, "We'd like to thank everyone for their prayers and well wishes as our daughter receives care for her injuries sustained earlier this week. We're also grateful for the excellent care and support of the burn team at Stroger Hospital." It goes on to the family to say the family will not be providing any more updates. Now, the criminal complaint against Reed says he went to a gas station, filled a plastic bottle with gasoline. The images get brutal here, so brace yourself. 20 minutes later, he was on the Blue Line train, dumped the gasoline on the woman's head. She ran, but he chased her down with the flaming remnants of the bottle and set her on fire.
Okay, so this is just a shocking update, in my opinion. This guy was not arrested 49 times. He was arrested 70 times. I mean, and then when you hear the excuse from the judge, like the reaction that she has when people are asking, why wasn't he locked up? You probably will lose your mind. But I just want to read a couple of things to you. Number one, the guy is 50 years old, not 18. So he's been around the block quite a few times. Do you think they would have had him locked up by then? That's the first thing. Second thing, if you're looking at his rap sheet here, which is extensive, by the way, here it is right here. Records show that Reed had previously been arrested 72 times in Cook County alone. Cook County alone. They probably have his photo on the wall somewhere. He probably holds the record for the most amount of arrests in that county. But hey, release him back onto the street, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's message is that violence on public transit is not widespread.
Look, my responsibility is to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. The investments that we are making are certainly moving us in that direction. This is an isolated incident. I mean, I don't see this as some sort of trend.
We've tracked down more than 4 dozen arrests of Lawrence Reed since 1993. 9 of them were for felonies, yet he has served just over 2 years behind bars. Most recently, he was charged with aggravated assault for knocking out a social worker. The state's attorney requested pretrial detention, but Judge Teresa Molina-Gonzalez denied him the request and put him on electronic monitoring. The website CWB Chicago reports that at that detention hearing, Judge Molina-Gonzalez said, "I can't put everyone behind bars or keep everyone in jail just because the state's attorney has asked me to." So we'll find out later today if a federal judge will indeed keep him behind bars. Dana, back to you.
Mike Tobin, let's.
Okay, and here are the copy of the transcripts where the prosecutor was warning the judge to not release this man back onto the street. You'd think after the judge has seen his rap sheet, she'd be like, well, yeah, there's a great point. Let me get creative. Let's see if we can find a way, at least put him in a mental institution, put him in a hospital. I mean, put him on, what is the proper term when someone wants to kill themselves? Figure a way out. Do not let the man back on the street. It's like common sense. I'm sure you guys agree with that. Anyways, here it is. I can't keep everybody in jail because the state's attorney wants me to. Those 13 words may linger in the mind of Cook County Judge Teresa Molina-Gonzalez for a long, long time because that's what she told the Cook County Assistant State Attorney on August 22nd when the prosecutor objected to the judge releasing Lawrence Reed, the man accused of setting a woman on fire. Instead, she put him with an ankle monitor because she thought he could be, I guess, followed. Like, yeah, there's plenty of resources for that. Okay, so bottom line, Democrats continue to hurt American citizens with their policies, which takes us to our next story. We're going to get to the president and Mamdani in the Oval Office. That's obviously breaking news, but I just have to make sure these stories are told. Pay attention to this woman who had her daughter molested by an illegal alien, of course. Now she believes in deportation. Take a look.
She didn't know until this week that the suspect was not a U.S. citizen. Now that she does, she believes justice is deportation.
It's hurtful that my child is a victim and they have this person and let him go.
Farmisha Rose says her daughter was 13 years old when she met this man, 29-year-old Jordan Castillo Chavez. Rose found out when she looked at her daughter's phone.
And then there was this message from this guy. I'm like, who is this? And she's like, oh, that's my friend. I just met him online. And I looked at the messages. There were photos. There were messages that indicated like he was coming to pick her up. And I immediately just like dropped, like I fainted. Like, this is not happening right now.
I mean, clearly there's so much going on in our country, and that's why I have to deliver this urgent reminder. The Medicare enrollment period is ending soon. This means you have until December 7th to pick a plan for 2026. It's no secret that Medicare enrollment process is confusing, and I think it's on purpose because brokers are looking to make more money, which means you could potentially be on the wrong plan. Question, wouldn't it make sense to speak to a trusted advisor today? That's why I recommend you call Chapter. They're the only advisors that will compare every nationwide plan to make sure that you choose the right one. And they are results driven. They save people $1,100 a year. If you look in the comments section, you'll see that people are already thanking me for directing them to Chapter. They will help you. And the best part is their service is completely free and it only takes 20 minutes. And by the way, if you're already on a Medicare plan, they can look at it and make sure that it's good. And if it's not, they'll help you switch. So don't gamble with your Medicare coverage today. Call Chapter at 323-431-5200. Understand it's peak season, so you're going to want to call them first thing in the morning. That number again is 323-431-5200. Speak to a trusted advisor today. All right, just a couple of things. All right, number one, this is such an unfortunate situation. There's no doubt about it. Number two, this is why I'm very strict as a parent myself. My son doesn't need a phone. I don't know why we still believe today that kids need cell phones. No, they don't. For reasons like this. They don't need access to the internet like that. It just still shocks me that parents are willing to take that risk. I'm not. You know, maybe I'm extreme on this. I just don't understand it. And third, again, now she's for deportation, like I stated. You know, when it hits home, then people have a different perspective. And it shouldn't take that for people to connect the dots that there are people in this country illegally that are not interested in doing things that are in the betterment of this country. Okay, that's just the bottom line to it.
In March, Pineville police charged Castillo Chavez with indecent liberties and other sex-related charges. He has since bonded out. This week, Customs and Border Protection named Castillo Chavez of Costa Rica as one of the worst criminal illegal aliens, blaming his release on a failed ICE detainer. I asked the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office to respond. They said ICE made a request for advance notification of his release, but said the agency did not issue an ICE detainer. The Sheriff's Office said they did not notify ICE when Castillo Chavez bonded out because they weren't legally required.
This is serious.
Rose says her own father had committed a crime in the U.S. and was deported back to his country years ago, so she understands the impact and believes it's what Castillo Chavez deserves too.
We need justice. He needs to go, and they need to enforce it.
So as I stated, it shouldn't come to this. I keep telling you guys, local elections matter. There is a policy right in that description of this story that they should be riding in the streets in North Carolina over, okay? And that is if the police arrest someone who's been allegedly, all right, accused of sexually molesting a child, there should be a zero tolerance on that. If he makes bond and he's released back onto the streets, they should be advocating for the local police department to contact ICE immediately. No hesitation. They don't need to be, it doesn't need to be mandatory. They shouldn't have to be required to. It should just be something that the local community is demanding from their local police departments. It's just fascinating. This is why I said local elections do matter, because that's something that's in their control that they can change. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, this is just the way that I see it. All right, let's go to our next update. And this is still, day 3 of Democrats doubling down on encouraging military members to defy lawful orders. This is Senator Mark Kelly on MSDNC, literally repeating the same message. I guess he's not reading the room at this point. Take a look.
And I guess, Senator, members of the military, what is your advice to them if they come across something that seems confusing?
I think they need to talk to their leadership. talk to their commanding officer about it and tell your commanding officer why you think this may be illegal. There are lawyers within the military, the Judge Advocate General Corps. You can have a conversation, with somebody who understands the law. There's always the option of you review the UCMJ with your leadership and you explain to somebody why you think this may not be lawful.
All right. Yeah, it's just pure propaganda. We've talked about it. It's just sad that someone like Senator Mark Kelly is going to continue to play games knowing that the members of the military don't have time to listen to videos like this, watch videos like this. They don't want to be close to politics. There's a thing in the military we always say, we don't want to be close to the flagpole because they play too many games. It's too political. And what they're doing is injecting their own partisan games in the military. That's the last thing they need. And it's just a huge disappointment. And these are people who served in the military, which proves my point that just because somebody served in the military doesn't mean they're not an idiot. Okay, that's just the reality. Now, here's the president earlier this morning on Fox News clarifying what he meant by those posts on Truth Social, particularly seditious behavior and how some people liken it to treason. Take a look.
Well, if you look at sedition, if you look at, that type of, that's a very strong form of being a traitor. It's a terrible thing to say. I must tell you, I heard it, and I thought it was some kind of a comedy situation. I thought that it was some kind of a skit, and because I couldn't believe that they'd say it. And I watched Democrat congressmen and one Democrat senator yesterday on one of the shows. Didn't even want to discuss it. They said, whoa, don't get me into that one. They don't want to get into it. That is a really serious charge. I'll tell you what they said is, and it was, I don't know about the modern day things because, modern day is a lot softer. But in the old days, if you said a thing like that, that was punishable by death.
Yeah, but you're not threatening them. A lot of people are interpreting there's a threat and there's security.
Well, I'm not threatening them, but I think they're in serious trouble. I would say they're in serious trouble. I'm not threatening death, but I think they're in serious trouble. In the old days, it was death.
Again, the president is doubling down on what he meant by it. We already knew what he meant by it. This is kind of like, Democrats hoping to transform this into a huge protest that they can march in the streets with, potentially riot, burn down businesses as usual, or also use it as a way to impeach the president. Obviously, they'd have to win the midterms, but they will try to use these statements to bolster their claims. And while they're doing all this, as we continue to say all week, they forget about you, me, and their constituents. You can't just sit there and react and fight against the president every single day, because what you're not doing is fighting for the American people who need policies that will improve the quality of their life. They just refuse to do it. Now, investigative journalist Matt Taibbi said this, which I like because it's similar to Russiagate if you think about it. Take a look.
It's such blatant, bad, overwrought propaganda. And this whole idea of you can refuse to obey illegal orders, well, that's always been true. And we've had a gazillion illegalities in government that the Democrats didn't say a word about for decades. So why now? And also just this general notion of encouraging an uprising, essentially, I don't know. There are so many things about modern politics that just make you shake your head and say, we're just in this new territory. I don't even know how to think about it, honestly. Like, that's beyond insubordinate or unhelpful. It reminds me again of the beginning of Russiagate, right? When there were all these leaks about encouraging people not to share intelligence with the United States.
And here's my main point about all of it, because we're about to show you what happened in the Oval Office between the president and Mamdani. You would think, as a Democrat, a progressive, someone who does not agree with President Trump's views, that ultimately you'd want him to be successful. Because if the president is successful, then that means the United States of America is successful. Joe Biden was not successful. Joe Biden clearly was impaired. Other people were making decisions on his behalf, as we know through the auto pen situation, including the border. I think that all shows us that, okay? And why do I bring that up? Well, because even I, as a conservative, would rather Joe Biden had been who he really is. He's not a progressive. I don't think he truly believed in opening the border. I think the people around him made him do that. Okay. And so we want our president to be successful. We want Congress to be successful. We want them doing something instead of this drama that continues to play out on social media and in front of the cameras. And that also includes what's going to happen on the streets this weekend, as protests are going to be out and about as usual, demanding for the president to be impeached. Take a listen.
And this weekend, the resistance to the Trump administration will be visible right in Donald Trump's backyard with a major rally calling for Trump's removal taking place tomorrow at the Lincoln Memorial. I want to bring in retired D.C. police officer Michael Fanone. He'll be a speaker at this weekend's Remove the Regime protest against Donald Trump. It's nice to have you back here. Tell me what you've seen that makes you confident this is the right tactic, either in the wake of the Jimmy Kimmel response from the public or the large numbers of people coming to see you and coming to No Kings protests. Why are you sure that this is the right way?
I mean, for me, it's about holding the administration accountable. I mean, what we've seen and witnessed, and I mean, obviously, I don't have time. I don't think, we don't even have, it would take more than a lifetime to go through all the list of unlawful and unconstitutional acts that the administration has accomplished now with its 11 months. It's time to impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump. The American people are not. We're not waiting for 2026. We want to pressure members of Congress to act now.
All right. That's just more political theater, as you guys know. He definitely has Trump derangement syndrome. In case you guys don't know, he was part of January 6th. All right. At any rate, here's the bottom line to it. If you're focusing on trying to impeach the president now, why were you not focused on trying to impeach Joe Biden 2 years into his administration when he opened the border? I'm not understanding that. So people like that you can't convince because their mind is made up. They don't care about the facts. They care about how they feel when it comes to the president. These are the people who even refuse to give the president credit for what he did on the border. I don't even understand how someone will try to argue that. But if we kind of bring this all to a close, the bottom line is these Democrats still cannot tell you what lawful orders from the president are unlawful or military members claiming they've received unlawful orders. Here's an example.
Have you, Congresswoman, or any other of these Democratic members of Congress heard directly from members of the U.S. military or the broader national security community who believe they've been given unlawful orders?
Well, what I'd say is I have heard from service members, and I have heard from service members, and this is all a matter of public record. What we see is an uptick of concern from the men and women who are serving in uniform about the legality of orders that are being given.
All right, let's go back to critical thinking here. I have concerns about the orders that are being given, but the orders that are being given have not been confirmed as unlawful. Big difference. So again, they're wasting people's time. Let's go to this next story, which is the breaking news of this evening, really. The president met with Mamdani. This whole meeting was shocking to the media, including people who support Mamdani. He's getting obviously ripped because it was a positive meeting, productive meeting. It's as if these guys hang out for reals, okay? They were very nice to each other. You could tell there's chemistry there. And I'm of the opinion that this is what happens when you come up against the president. He just has a way with people. He's a people person. It's hard to not smile when you're around him, okay? He's going to make you laugh. And you could see that. Let's start with this first clip where the president sums up what the meeting was all about and why it was good. Take a look.
We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built and food and prices. And the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, I think two things happen in this meeting. Okay. One, the president knows exactly what to do when it comes to Democrats. He knows exactly how to control them, how to irk them. He's got their number. What do I mean by that? The reason why he's propping up Mamdani the way that he is, he's throwing his support behind him, he's building him up, leaving him with impression of increase, is because he's doing the very thing that Democrats can't do. They can't bring it to themselves to praise the president. They can't bring themselves to even speak to their opponents, okay? In some ways, they want their opponents politically assassinated, as we know. So this is going to send them into a frenzy. We're already seeing it online. You got people saying the president has fallen in love with Mamdani. Then you have people saying, why is Mamdani smiling with the president? They can't handle it. Number two, I believe there was a business deal that took place behind closed doors. There has to be. He's a businessman. He's all about making deals, okay? Maybe Zoran Mamdani promised one thing. So he says, you know what, I'm going to go in front of the cameras and I'm going to throw my support behind you. He is a New Yorker, by the way. So in his heart of hearts, of course, he wants the city to be successful. The city chose Mamdani. So it is what it is. That's kind of the two things that I've got from this entire meeting. Now, let's go to the most important question in regards to what the press asked the president, and that is, would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Zoran Mamdani as mayor? Take a look.
Yeah, okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would, especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. You know, he may have different views, but in many ways, you know, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, you know, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Now, we know that's a total contradiction to what he said about Mamdani previously. It's also a contradiction to what the results show on the ground. We know New York City has crime issues, illegal immigration issues, no doubt about it. But the president isn't going to go out there and say that because, as I stated earlier, there had to be some deal made, and he's got his way with the Democrats. So instead of giving them what they want, which is him to come out, be divisive, give them more ammunition, he's doing this instead. It's going to drive them insane. All right, let's go to Jack Posobiec, which I think also asked a very important question. Hey, Zoran Mamdani, are you still in support of targeting all white neighborhoods? Right? Because remember, that's what he's about. He believes there's inequity in real estate and rents and all this other nonsense, particularly taxes. Are you still going to target the white neighborhoods? Right? Here's what he had to say.
Protesters. Jack?
Mr. President, I wanted to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
To be clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
that's what you said.
No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
That is a phenomenal question by Jack, by the way. I love that. I want to see more of that from people who claim to be journalists, okay? Just ask fair questions. Don't get snarky. Don't need an attitude, okay? Just ask simple questions based off what the person has stated. And we know Mamdani is going to obviously defend himself, and he's not going to answer that directly because it wouldn't make sense in the Oval Office. It's got too many eyeballs on that. So, you know, we'll see what happens with the results. Okay. Now, here is the president coming to the defense of Zohran Mamdani. And again, I'm telling you, this is another example of him owning the moment. Take a look.
It sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. That's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And I think that actually summed up the entire Q&A with the media. Okay, the president continued to prop him up, give him an impression of increase. He intervened when he thought Mamdani was getting a lot of tough questions. And again, you know, this is a power move. Okay, it just takes a certain person who's in control to do exactly what the president just did. He didn't get upset. He didn't fight with the media. He didn't call him out. You know, and again, this is politics at play. I really do believe there was a deal that was made. And if not a deal, at a minimum, this is the president continuing to own the Democrat Party, because we know they haven't really spoken to Zohran Mamdani. They haven't really done any press conferences with him, except the progressive side of their wing. You haven't seen any with Hakeem Jeffries after the election. Okay, so we'll see where this ends up taking the party, which I think is in the wrong direction. And just to be fair, we hope Zohran Mamdani is successful in New York City. I just don't think his policies will be the answers. Okay, and he's going to find that out pretty quickly here. Maybe he'll change. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll be an utter disaster. Not my problem. I don't live in New York City. But if you do, you know, you're about to find out, right? All right, let's hear from you guys in the comment section below to these stories, you know, starting with the big one. The guy was not arrested 49 times. He was arrested 72 times. He was just arrested for beating a woman up. And all the judge had to say in the end was, well, I can't lock up people just because the attorney general wants me to. That's the best she can offer. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Give me your reaction. Also, the woman in North Carolina, her daughter was molested by an illegal alien. What do you make of that? Also, what do you think of the president continuing to clarify his comments regarding Democrats encouraging military members to defy lawful orders? They still can't tell you what order was actually unlawful, of course. And finally, what did you make of the interview, or excuse me, what did you make of the press conference with Zohran Mamdani and the president in the Oval Office? Just give me all your thoughts and everything you got in the comment section below. Now this takes us to our next video, where Hakeem Jeffries was humiliated earlier this morning by the CNBC host after he was confronted over the Obamacare ACA subsidies. He still doesn't have an answer. He's playing games, and she called him out. If you guys missed out on that update, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.